round one so far, which is quite an insane. It's
Insane.
been quite an insane playoff.
Stanley Cup playoffs are the best sports television ever.
Mm-hmm. And then we're going to see the stats leaders in this Stanley Cup playoffs.
Okay.
Then we'll end with our featured card.
Perfect. Yeah, we're going to go through each series, just series by series, for those maybe not paying super close attention, or those that are and just want to talk hockey with us and get caught up. Man, what an incredible round one so far. There's been teams that I expected to do well that are playing well. Teams that I did not expect to play well that are playing well. As of it right now, I feel like I have no idea who's going to win the cup. What about you?
Me neither. I honestly don't know who's even going to make it to the second round.
Yeah, exactly. There's a couple, almost for sure. Last night, Ottawa hung on to get a win and stay alive. Toronto almost had the only sweep of the first round, but Ottawa won in overtime, so they're still alive. And I imagine Toronto's going to escape that series. We extremely rarely see a team come back from down 3-0 to win the next 4 games, but it could happen. To be honest, how funny would it be if that's what happens? Because Toronto famously loses in the playoffs. They've been bad forever. Toronto fans are saying, this is our year. For them to go out like that would just be hysterical. And of course sad for Toronto fans, but man, the round one has been just crazy. So should we jump in? Start going series by series? Okay, we're going to screen share. Last time when we were doing our brackets, this didn't work. So we just want to confirm that this is working correctly. So I'm going to hop over to our page real quick, which it should show that we're live. Let's see. Your channel. It doesn't even show we're live, does it? Oh, there we go.
There we are.
Hop over to our page real quick. Okay, yeah, it's showing.
It showed fine.
Okay, I'm going to take that off so we don't get double audio. All right. So we're here. Let's go. Is there a play? Yeah, here we go. Playoffs. So we're just going to break it down round by round, or series by series. Starting over here, Winnipeg versus St. Louis. I believe they have game 4 today. Winnipeg up 2-1. They won the first 2 games, but then what happened last game?
Last game, St. Louis just went looking like the best team in the NHL for a minute. And absolutely all of their players did great. Cam Fowler and Pavel Buchnevich did incredibly good.
Yeah, I think Buchnevich got a hat trick, right?
Buchnevich had 3 goals, 1 assist.
Wow.
And Cam Fowler had 1 goal, 4 assists.
4 assists, 5-point game. That's incredible. I think, St. Louis was looking so good after 4 Nations. They pushed, and then they started to kind of come back down to earth. Winnipeg won the President's Trophy. Everyone was a little unsure, and this is what we're seeing, right? Winnipeg won the first 2 games. I would say, pretty convincingly, but St. Louis played well. It goes back to St. Louis, and so far this playoffs, the home teams have a significant advantage. Most of the time, the home teams are winning. So this goes back to St. Louis. Home team wins. They've got another game today in St. Louis. If St. Louis can even up this series and go back to Winnipeg tied 2-2, it's going to be incredible. I think if Winnipeg takes it today, I think they take the whole thing. So curious to see what happens there. Hellebuck, there's a lot of question marks that, he's always looks like the best goalie in the world until it really matters, right? He loses in the playoffs a lot and lost the finals of the 4 Nations, which we were talking about yesterday. He played well in that game, but then gives up the goal in overtime, whereas Binnington made a couple of huge saves and then allowed his team to stay in it, and they come down and score the game in overtime in the 4 Nations final. So Winnipeg's goalie, Connor Hellebuck, has something to prove, and they're going to have to get past the Blues to do it. So we'll be curious to see how that game goes out. All right, what about Dallas, Colorado?
Dallas is doing... They're playing... Well, you told me that they have only led in the series in scoring for like
it's a total
62 seconds.
Yeah, it's like 62 seconds out of now 4 games, and that still holds because as of last night, they didn't score a single goal. They got shut out 4-0. They won games 2 and 3 in overtime. And in both of those games had to tie it up at the end of the game to get into overtime. So Colorado has been leading this entire series with the exception of about 62 seconds. It's either been tied or Colorado is ahead. And somehow the series is tied. Credit to Ottinger for keeping them alive in games where they're being outplayed. Credit for stepping up and scoring goals in overtime to steal some games. But I mean, Colorado, I still have as winning this series. I think they're dominating Dallas most of the time. Credit, Dallas is missing some of their best players. Heiskanen's their best defenseman, I would say. He's out. And Robertson, maybe their best forward, is out. So the fact that they're hanging on is impressive because Colorado, I picked to win the Cup this year. And Dallas is making this a fight, which everyone kind of thought it would be. Looking at it going in, this was like, maybe you would have expected to be a second or third round match, and it's a first round match. So it's just one of the cool things you get with the current divisional format, where you get these rivalry matches in round 1. Who has stood out to you in this series? Favorite?
I agree with you that Avalanche will take the W in this round. I don't know if Dallas will get any more wins. I think it's just they're not going to force a game 7 or anything. The Avalanche is just going to win 2 more. And they have maybe the biggest story of the playoffs with Gabriel Landeskog coming back after 1,000 and something days.
Cool. Maybe one of the coolest story in sports right now. 1,035 days, something like that, since he last played. He last played when the Colorado Avalanche won the Stanley Cup in 2022. So 3 years after, almost, because that was in June. It's April, so almost 3 years. What was the stat the other night? Only 2 other... He's the captain of the Avalanche. Only 2 other captains have been out for that length of time and then come back to play again. And it was 2 guys that had to leave for war back in World War II. Sid Abel, and who was the other one? I don't remember the other guy's name. But I mean, that's some pretty crazy company right there, right? Is two men that had to leave and go fight for their country and came back and continued playing. That's the company Gabriel Landeskog has. So pretty cool. And then what happens last night? He gets moved up to the first power play unit. He's playing on the second line, I think, or first line. I think second line.
Second, yes.
And he scores a goal. And it was just a huge moment. I mean, what an amazing comeback story. He's got 2 young kids who don't really remember him playing hockey very much because they were so little. And a third on the way. And he's talking about how cool it is for them to actually get to watch him play now. They've been hearing him talk about it. He said it's funny. It's almost like they thought I was a liar, that I was a professional hockey player, because they hear all these stories, but he never actually got to go play. For those that don't know, he had a strange injury that came from a cut, I think, right? I'm pretty sure Cale Makar's skate came up and cut him, his own teammate, during the Stanley Cup Finals. And it caused some kind of injury in his leg or knee that he had to have a surgery on. And no player has ever come back from this specific injury to play in the NHL. But I believe a tennis player has done it. I don't remember which one it was, but there's a tennis player that Landeskog mentioned he was inspired by, watching him come back from the same type of injury. And pretty impressive to see him come back.
Yep.
Other standouts, I mean, McKinnon just looks like one of the best players in the league, as he should. Makar hasn't been, I mean, he's still noticeable, but he hasn't been, I don't think, like a game breaker like he sometimes is. So that could be another player that they have that steps up. Blackwood's been playing well. I think we saw the stat yesterday. He's top of the playoffs for goals saved above expected. He's playing really well in goal. They look incredible, so... I still have Avalanche to go on and maybe win the whole thing. Okay? Vegas, Minnesota. Most surprising series, I think. I don't think many people... You picked the Wild.
I picked the Wild.
I don't think many people picked the Wild. I picked Vegas. I like the Wild. They were number 1 in the league in the first part of the season. Lost all their stars to injury sometime around Christmas. Kirill Kaprizov was considered to maybe be the leading candidate for the Hart Trophy, the MVP of the entire league. He got hurt. They're back. They're playing incredible. They won games 2 and 3, 5-2. Lost last night in OT?
Yep.
Overtime last night. So now the series is tied up, but that is definitely a surprising series. It's really close. I could see this one going 7 games, and I still don't know who's going to win. Vegas is so good. Minnesota is so good. That's been really fun to watch. And Kaprizov and Boldy combined, that pair, that duo is awesome. Especially add in Eriksson Ek to that line, and you've got some killers over there.
And a very cool story is Zeev William, who is playing in college, and then he gets pulled up for like the last maybe 2 games.
Yeah,
of the regular
right
season.
at the end of the year.
And he's going from a college team into playing for a playoffs team who's trying to win the cup. I mean, a transition like that is crazy.
Definitely. Imagine that being your welcome to the NHL moment. It's all right, here we go into the Stanley Cup playoffs. And he's not the only one.
Ryan
Leonard's doing that. Zeev Williams doing that. There's a couple others, I think, that just got pulled up from college. Oh, the Canadians just brought over their KHL guy, so that's different, not college hockey, but Demidov.
Yes.
So, yeah, welcome to the NHL. Let's jump into the craziest hockey games ever. But yeah, that's a cool story over there too. The Wild are going to be so good. They've got a young team full of talent. I don't think people expected them to really be a contender this year, and they definitely are a contender this year. So, Can't wait to see kind of what happens there. And then last in the West, also a very surprising series, but I think a lot of people kind of expected LA to do well. Edmonton held on to get their first win of the series in the first game in Edmonton Friday night. And we've got game 4 tonight. I'm excited to see if McDavid and Draisaitl, that's basically it. The rest of the Oilers team is not doing well. It's basically, can McDavid and Draisaitl turn up and win some games for them. I remember that first game, they come back to make it close in the end and end up losing with like 40 seconds left. LA scores again. But it was basically McDavid deciding to say, you know what, I'm the best player in the world. Let me go score some goals and make some crazy plays. And I think he finished with a goal and 3 assists or something that game. So he still looks really good, but LA is playing so good. So good. Anything from that series stand out to you?
I mean, yeah, only 2 guys are doing really good for the Oilers right now. Plus, they don't have Ekholm.
Yeah, and it shows. They're asking Evan Bouchard and Darnell Nurse to be like shut down defensemen.
Which they aren't.
And they aren't. And it shows like LA is just doing whatever they want on offense. There isn't much good defensive play. And to be honest, even from like McDavid and stuff, I think he's made some mistakes in the offensive zone that I think maybe are more noticeable because you don't have a guy like Ekholm out there to clean up the mistakes and be the shutdown defender, which is so fun as a Predators fan. We always knew Matthias Ekholm was good, but to see him go to a team like the Oilers who have these superstars and everyone recognize him as their number 1 shutdown D-man, I think that's really cool.
It sure is.
Okay, well, we'll see what happens with that series in the West. I picked Jets, Colorado, Vegas, and Edmonton, I think, to come out of the first round. That is still all possible. But it's looking less and less likely like Edmonton will make it out. Minnesota's a question mark. Dallas and Colorado. I mean, I think Colorado's dominating, but that's a question mark because it's tied. Winnipeg is winning, but can they hang on and and take out this Blues team in St. Louis? We'll see. So stay tuned. The West is still up in the air.
Yep.
Heading over to the East. Battle of Ontario. Toronto versus Ottawa. Toronto, pretty dominant first 3 games, but Ottawa staying alive. They killed themselves in the first game with penalties. Got it together. Played well in games 2 and 3. Hanging in there. Won game 4 last night. In OT. Team USA hero Jake Sanderson scores in overtime to give them their first win. We mentioned this at the beginning of the episode. How funny would it be if Ottawa is one of the only teams ever to come back down 3 games in a series and, and take out the Maple Leafs? For Toronto fans, but Toronto looks good. Who stands out for you in this Toronto series?
Matthew Nyes.
Matthew Nyes. Charlie got the Matthew Nyes fantasy card for the playoffs on Hockey Ultimate Team, NHL 25. Who's now, what's that going to be, a 96?
Yes, sir.
He looks so good. Toronto fans have got to be worried about him getting offer sheeted as a restricted free agent this summer. He looks incredible. They got to try to sign him back. He's big and strong and so skilled. He's like rushing down multiple times last game. I see him just push off a defender, say, "Get off me, bro." Keep skating down. He goes and scores a goal that way. I mean, he looks good. Marner's playing well. Nylander's playing well. Matthews is playing well. So they're big 4 or 5, I guess you could call it, with Nyes in the mix. Tavares is playing pretty well. Their defense, which has always been one of Toronto's problems, is playing well. And in goal, also a potential Team USA pick. If maybe Hellebuck and Ottinger and stuff aren't playing as well, if Stolarz keeps it up. What is he now? 11-1 in his last 12 games?
Yeah, I think you're right.
11-1. Stolarz looks like just a beast back there. He's so big, always in the right position. Toronto never has had good goaltending, and now they got good goaltending. I don't mean never. I mean in the current Toronto Maple Leafs era. They've been missing goaltending and defense, and now they've got it. So I don't think Ottawa survives this series, but I hope that they make it entertaining. I like Brady Tkachuk. I like Jake Sanderson from Team USA. I like their young guys, too. Even Shabbat and Stutzla and stuff like that. So I hope they make it interesting, and it'll be good experience for them getting into the playoffs. This is Brady Tkachuk's first time in the playoffs, right? So this is their first opportunity to learn from it. Anything else from that series stand out to you?
Nothing big. I just definitely think Maple Leafs are going to finish it maybe next game.
Yeah, I think we all thought maybe last game it was going to be done, and Senators hung on to get it in OT.
They hung on, though.
Tough. And if you haven't been watching, I mean, when these games go to overtime, if you're new to hockey, I know we got a lot of new hockey fans this year after 4 Nations, and really it's just been a great season watching the OV chase to break the goals record and stuff. It's been a great time to come into hockey and start learning more about it, and Stanley Cup playoff overtime games are just so exciting, especially like last night. Ottawa's got their season on the line. It's in OT. The next person that scores wins. But you don't have any weird rules like you have in football where sometimes like a coin toss can really kind of decide who wins in overtime. And in NHL playoff overtime, they just keep playing like it's a normal game, except first team that scores wins. It's sudden death. There's no limit to how many of these periods we'll do. We'll do a 20-minute 5-on-5 period just like normal. If nobody scores, we go back to the locker room, take a little break, come back out and do it again. We've had one game go to double OT so far, but sometimes you might get triple, quadruple overtime games where they're just fighting for their lives to score a goal, and they're exhausted. It's just so fun to watch, but obviously it leads to some late nights too. Like last night, we ended up turning off the Colorado-Dallas game because it was almost midnight, and they were up 2-0. We're like, okay, let's go to bed. But when a game's close, it's going to OT. Like, you just have to watch. It's such exciting hockey. All right, Battle of Florida. What do we got there?
Battle of the Sunshine State. Lightning in Florida. Florida's up 2-1 in the series. And they looked like the Florida they were last
Yeah,
playoffs
they look like
in
the Stanley
first
Cup
two
champs.
games. But then in the last game, they dropped it 5-1.
Yeah, Tampa showed up for game 3.
The Panthers scored first.
This series is the only exception to the rule for home teams playing better. The away team has won every game in this series, which I guess they're still in Florida, so they're like, are we really away? But yeah, Tampa Bay showed up last game. First 2 games, it looked like Florida was just gonna sweep. Like they looked like the Stanley Cup champions that they are. But we knew Tampa wasn't gonna go down. They've got such a stacked team. Jake Gensel, I saw, is I think 5th all time in goals per game in the playoffs. He scores at like a .56 rate. And did he get 1? I think 2 goals last game. Gensel got 2, I'm pretty sure. Kucherov finally started looking like Kucherov in game 3. It's going to be an interesting series. If Tampa can get another one, which I don't think they play today. I think that's tomorrow.
Yeah, I think
It's their game 4. I think today is Winnipeg and St. Louis, New Jersey and Carolina, Washington and Montreal, and LA and Edmonton. Yeah. So, Tampa, Florida. I picked Florida to come out of that. I'm gonna stick with that right now. I think they're still a really deep team, but so is Tampa, and it's, I think, maybe gonna go to game 7. So we'll see about that. And then it looks like we'll probably have a Toronto-Florida matchup. I think Toronto's hoping they can win the next game, get some rest, and have Florida coming out of that series beat up by Tampa Bay from a tough game 7 series, and then it's an easier matchup for Toronto.
Yes.
We'll see. Okay. Washington versus Montreal. This has been my favorite series to watch so far. I am pulling hard for the Canadians. They're my like fun team to root for. They're the last team to get in, full of young players. I've talked about them a lot already, so I won't go too far with it, but they finally won a game. They won the first game back in Montreal, and man, was it crazy. It was insane to watch. There were some fights. We picked the Tom Wilson crying face meme for our thumbnail on this video. There was a fight with Wilson and Josh Anderson that spilled over onto the bench. All the players had cleared the bench because it was time to go into the locker room, and they start fighting. It carries over onto the bench. A linesman, for some reason, decides to get in between them, and he's falling to the ground with them in the brawl. It was wild, and it led to some funny memes. I like my favorite moment, though, during all that is if you look, I don't think I told you this yet, at Ryan Leonard and Lane Hudson, who are former teammates from the World Juniors. I think, right? Did they get to play together last year? I'm pretty sure. They're standing side by side, just kind of like holding hands, as if like, oh, we're holding each other back from getting in the fight, but both are probably like, hey, what's up, bud? I don't really want to fight, do you? So, cool moments like that in this series. Ovi, I mean, game 1, he was a part of every Capitals goal. He scored, then he assisted, then he got the OT winner. His first OT winning goal out of his 900 goals. It's the first time he's got an OT winning playoff goal. So that was cool. And do you remember what Laine said before game 1?
What?
They asked Patrick Laine in the locker room before game 1, what do you think about getting to play against Alexander Ovechkin in the playoffs? And he said, I couldn't care any less. Everyone was like, what? Especially coming from Laine, who is really just a goal scorer. You know, and you've grown up watching the greatest goal scorer now of the NHL, and you're getting to face off against him. You know, maybe he's just trying to play a little mind games. But for then Ovi to go out and just dominate and Line to basically end up getting benched because he doesn't give that much effort. So there's a lot of games, I think, where the Canadians coach, St. Louis, just says, like, all right, I'm not putting Line out there anymore. He rips one-timers on the power play to get some goals, but other than that, like, he doesn't back check very hard. He doesn't forecheck very hard. A lot of times it just doesn't look like he cares enough to be out there, whereas the rest of his team is playing their butts off. Line is the only one that comes across that way to me. So I thought that was an interesting one. But yeah, Montreal wins a game. Who do you think takes this? Game 4 tonight. Think Canadians can even it up in Montreal?
Oh, man. Canadians have a bunch of momentum, I think.
Yeah, the entire city of Montreal was basically at that game. Either inside or outside the arena. They're jumping, screaming, ole, 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 the whole time. There's fights. Yeah, they look good. I love their team. Their defense, Gooley, Hudson, like, awesome. Their offense, awesome. So we'll see. We'll see if they can take game 4, go back to Washington tied up. Then there'd be a little bit of pressure on them. I'll be watching tonight for sure. All right, and lastly, Carolina, New Jersey. What do you think of this series?
The Devils got one, and I think this was that was the double overtime game, right?
Yes.
The Devils won.
That's right.
They're missing Jack Hughes.
Credit to the Devils.
Yeah.
Missing Jack Hughes, and now Luke Hughes.
And Luke Hughes.
And Carolina, it looked like Carolina was playing an AHL team for the first 2 games. But especially game 1. I think game 2, New Jersey started to do better, but still lost. Then game 3, it was close the whole game, and New Jersey steals it. So they've got a chance to make this a series. Again, they won their game when it went back to New Jersey. Home teams keep winning. So maybe New Jersey can take another home game today, tie up the series, make it interesting. But if Carolina wins today, it's a wrap. That's the end of the series. I don't think New Jersey has it in them to beat. Carolina's just a powerhouse. They're so stacked. Logan Stankoven looks awesome. Looks great. Martinook
Yes,
on their team. He looks incredible. I haven't even noticed him before. Slavin from Team USA. Like we said before, maybe the best shutdown defenseman in the league. I need Timo Meier to step up and score. I got his fantasy card. He hasn't scored yet. And the other one I have is Brock Nelson for Colorado, and he hasn't scored yet either. So I need those guys to get some goals. Hopefully, at least Brock Nelson will make it into round 2. I don't think New Jersey makes it out of this series, but we'll see. We'll see. They got game 4 today, so. Okay, and that's a wrap on the current series. We'll see what happens. I'm still going to stick with Toronto, Florida. I'm pulling for Montreal and Carolina to make it out of round 1. Those were my original pick. No, I picked the Senators. Yes. I no longer think the Senators are going to be able to do it, but it'd be amazing if they did. Okay? What about you? Coming out of the East.
I picked Senators.
You did, that's right. And now you're with Toronto, right? And kind of pulling for Toronto with Matthew Nyes, right?
And, I mean, not just him. It's, like, we were talking about it last night. We started liking the Maple Leafs a little bit more, talking about all of the USA guys. Like,
yeah.
Also, Stolars,
Austin Matthews, Matthew Nyes. It'd be fun if all 3 of them make Team USA's Olympic roster next year. I think that would be cool. I'm a little torn on if it should be Hellebuck as the starter. I think we'll just have to keep seeing like how this playoff run goes, how he plays in the playoffs. Like right now, I'm just not that impressed with Hellebuck's playoff performance. And Stolarz looks great. So if this continues into next season, I love a Stolarz #1, Hellebuck #2. USA goalies. How cool would that be, right?
That would be nice.
That'd be fun. And then you throw Matthew Nyes in, get Cole Caulfield in to Team USA, get Lane Hudson into Team USA.
You could possibly put Tage Thompson in
Tage
there.
Thompson from the Sabres. And you pull out a couple of the older players that weren't really that effective at the Four Nations tournament. And
I have some in mind.
I think that would really just give us a boost to maybe get past Canada. So that'd be cool. Okay, let's move on over now to stats. Who are our stats leaders? Starting with points. We got Adrian Kempe on top, #9. We were talking about all the best all-time #9s in the NHL the other night, watching Kempe play. Because Kempe's just lighting it up, obviously. 9 points. The Kings are just mostly having their way with the Oilers. It's just that the Oilers can, at any point, have the two best players in the world go out on the ice and show up and score some goals. So it's been an exciting series, but Kempe's awesome, man. And we were saying, obviously, Philip Forsberg, our guy from the Nashville Predators. But then you have like Mike Modano, maybe one of the best Team USA players ever.
And
The legendary original #9, Gordie Howe. Who else?
well, for one thing, Wayne Gretzky wanted to be #9.
Yeah, Gretzky wanted 9, but he was like, no. I think he was talking to his dad. His dad said, listen, there's only one #9. It's Gordie Howe, Detroit Red Wings. You know, you're going to a new team. Let's be something different. And he was like, well, he was trying to think of the number. His coach was helping him with the number. And eventually they're like, how about just 2 9s? We'll make it 9-9. Like, okay. And that's now the most famous hockey jersey of all time, number 99. But yeah, Adrian Kempe, amazing. And right at #2, Kirill Kaprizov. I asked Charlie last night, finish the sentence. Kirill Kaprizov is a top blank player in the NHL, and I think you said top 10?
I said definitely top 10.
Definitely
and
top
you could
10.
Go further than that, at least how he's playing right now.
Yeah, I think you could say top 5. He was maybe top 1 before he got injured.
Yes.
He was like leading the league, maybe the MVP candidate, and now he's leading the playoffs. Right beneath him, the considered to be best player in the world, Connor McDavid. Surprising, like you mentioned, Cam Fowler, Anze Kopitar, still killing it in his late 30s now. Mitch Marner playing great. Buchnevich, Boldy up there with Kaprizov, maybe one of the best duo forwards in the league. Nylander playing great. Surprising deadline pickup, Kuzmenko. And the other, like, he's not on this top 10 list, but amazing deadline pickup for a team that just keeps adding awesome players that nobody expects to be awesome. Anthony Beauvillier for the Capitals steps into a top line role and has been awesome for them. So there's where we're at in points, top 10. I think Kuzmenko probably the most surprising on that list. Maybe Cam Fowler back at tied for 3rd. And Kempe on top. I think that's not surprising, but surprising to be #1. Kempe's already knew was good, but goals, Kempe's in the tied for the lead with Kaprizov and Boldy, both with 4. Oh, and McKinnon, all with 4. Look at Kachuk's down here. Matthew Kachuk, Ovechkin, Connor McMichael, Thomas Hertel, assists. Austin Matthews.
I think he was his assistant, not scoring.
Yeah, different than last year. We go over to defensemen. Points. Cam Fowler. Look at that. Bouchard, which, good. That's great. But defensively, he's made some massive mistakes. Hudson, rookie defenseman in the top 3. Go ahead.
But then there's the next one. Nate.
Who is this?
I don't know who he is.
Who is this guy?
I think I might be wrong, but I think those are all goals. 3 goals.
Are you kidding me? Let's look at goals. Nate Schmidt on top. Best defenseman in the league. I heard Paul Bussonette say, this is actually Cale Schmidt. Top defenseman in the league. That's crazy. Sam Girard on there. Hannafin, Sanderson, Team USA showing up right there.
That goal was the overtime one.
That's pretty neat. Okay. Moving over to goalies. Freddie Anderson, if he can stay healthy, he's shown promise as one of the best goalies. Blackwood. Sharks fans knew what they had with this guy. Amazing move by the Avalanche to change both of their goalies mid-season when they knew that was going to be their issue. And it's paying off big time. He's maybe the best goalie in the playoffs right now. Bobrovsky playing well. Markstrom. Stolarz playing well. Gustafsson playing well. Vasilevsky's been a little iffy, but made some big saves. Ottinger, as we get down to this bottom side. You know, these guys are all still playing under 3 goals a game. That's good, you know. Now we go to save percentage, a little more telling about how the individual goalie is playing. Anderson, Blackwood, Markstrom, Gustafsson, Logan Thompson have made some big saves. And Ottinger's, he's still holding on, making some good saves. Montembeault, this is deceiving, I think. He's played incredibly well.
He's played better than that stat.
Better than his numbers show, yeah. Bobrovsky, Stolarz, Vasilevsky. Shutouts, only 2 so far. Blackwood and Bobrovsky. And rookies. Hudson leading the way. 3 assists. You'd expect it. Oh, that's another college guy.
Oh, yes.
Jimmy Snuggerud. What a cool name, too. Just got bumped up. Stankoven's doing great. Ryan Leonard's playing really well in that series against Montreal. Jackson Blake, Bolduc. Everyone in Florida said this kid is going to be so good. Mackie Samoskevich, so that's going to be fun to watch. And Zeev Bouillon, we mentioned. Pretty cool to see. All right, so there's our stats leaders for the playoffs. We have, okay, in the chat, Hockey Mama says she's got 2 in the house that have Canadians for the win tonight. And doesn't that cool kid in the hat need to get ready for his hockey practice? Oh, I think he does. Yeah, he's got hockey coming up, so we'll be leaving here in a little bit. And, okay. I think that's about it for today. Time to do our featured cards.
Yes.
If you have your picks for the playoffs, if they're any different than ours, we want to hear them in the chat. We're so excited to kind of see who takes these next games. You want to go first with your featured card?
Okay. I couldn't find an incredibly good one. So I just picked... I don't remember, but on Easter in my basket, I got 2 artifacts packs. And I don't remember if he scored the overtime goal last night in the Golden Knights game or not, but it's Barbashev.
Barbashev did, yeah. He got the final goal. Ivan Barbashev. That's a good pick. Good pick. Sully, you want to go next? Tell us about it.
I have no idea who this is.
Let me see. We've got opening night Anaheim Mighty Ducks card. I don't think it's about a specific player. Yeah, it says Mighty Ducks begin the first season in NHL following a spectacular pregame show that was very befitting of the Walt Disney Corporation. The Mighty Ducks took to the ice against Detroit. Unfortunately for the sellout crowd of more than 17,000, the Ducks lost 7-2 to the Wings. That's a pretty cool one. Ducks have a great future ahead. They've got a good young team right now.
I think they have the youngest team.
All right, next, Augie.
Artifacts, Nathan McKinnon. He scored like 1 or 2 goals.
Yeah, he's been lighting it up in the playoffs. Artifacts, Nathan McKinnon. Great card. Augie, who do you think is the best player in the world right now?
Nathan McKinnon.
Nathan McKinnon. Augie thinks Nate Dogg.
McDavid.
It's a toss-up. All right, I've got a rookie, Parkhurst Champions, Matt Boldy card.
Ooh.
I think Boldy has been acting like a superstar so far in these playoffs. Maybe better than people expect. So, rookie season with the Wild, played 47 games, 21-22, had 15 goals, 24 assists, 39 points. I don't know what his stats were this year, but they were pretty good. I think Matt Boldy, also Team USA, from Milford, Massachusetts, is going to be such a fun player to watch his career. So, all right, that's it for today.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Can I go get another card?
Yes, you can.
Another card.
Sully's got one more card for us, he said.
Oh.
What about you guys? Any good polls lately? Let us know if you've got any good polls. Let's see what Sully has. Oh, he's trying to find it. I'm excited for the games today. We're heading to hockey. Charlie and Sully have hockey today. We will probably not watch those 2 afternoon games, Blues and Jets and Hurricanes Devils, but planning to maybe tune in for a little outdoor streaming party tonight to watch the last 2, Canadians, Capitals, and Kings, Oilers. All right, what you got, Sully?
I was thinking about doing this card, Holographics, Peter Forsberg.
Oh, I like that one. Peter Forsberg is most famous for being a Nashville Predator,
Oh, yes.
not a Colorado Avalanche player.
Oh,
All right, that's it, everybody. We'll see you next week. Enjoy week 2 of round 1 of the Stanley Cup playoffs. They've been incredible. Anything else?
Do all the things and stay saucy.